Oh, I've just had a strange telephone call. You know that software company I told you about?
The one you use for the student work experience?
Yes. Well, Chris, a boy who's in my second tutorial, it seems he's been looking at some pretty extreme stuff on the internet while he was there.
Oh no, he's always in trouble.
I know. You wouldn't think he was only 15. Well, anyway, I don't really know what to do about it.
Well, he's finished the placement now, so it's not urgent. Maybe you can just say you're sorry and tell him off.
The first issue is the institution's potential liability to the student. There is a small risk that the student could pursue an action for compensation. The college owes a duty to take care in the conduct of its business, which means taking the precautions that a reasonable person would expect in the circumstances. Therefore, the institution needs to consider what might be appropriate, given the age of students and the activity they are carrying out. Precautions could include a clear policy on acceptable computer use, extending to work experience, technical filtering and blocking, supervision, and the provision of guidance to the student. The fact that the college knows an incident has already taken place may increase the precautions it should take in future. In order for the institution to be liable in law, there must be damage to the student. In reality, it will be difficult to prove real psychological damage resulting from the institution's negligence. Further, the institution may be able to claim contributory negligence on the part of the student, in that he contributed to his own trauma. However, in many cases, a settlement is preferred by the institution because of the risk of losing in court and the publicity a court case might involve. Beyond the potential consequences with regards to the student, there are a number of other consequences of this incident to be considered. With regards to the criminal law, it is very unlikely that the institution has done anything which would amount to a criminal offence. That might only arise in circumstances where the college has incited and otherwise encouraged the commission of an offence by the student. However, the incident may well lead to loss of confidence in the institution by potential students, work experience providers, and the community in general, and such loss may well go beyond any legal liability. Further, the incident may be taken as evidence by the institution's inspecting body that quality is not assured in relation to providing a safe and secure context in which learning can take place, and that may also have funding consequences. In order to mitigate the risks, an appropriate person at the institution should have carried out a risk assessment to a level proportionate to the likely seriousness of breach in the activity in question. This should take place in the context of an institutional policy on the use of information and communications technology and the provision of a safe and secure learning environment. In this context, the risk assessment might mean liaison with the work experience placement organisation. The student and the tutor organising the placement should be aware of the policy and procedures in relation to e-safety, and the student reminded of his responsibilities too, and the extension of any institutional acceptable use policies to work placements. In order to ensure confidence in the institution, the college will be best placed to deal with such incidents if there is clear policy and procedures, and these will include investigation of incidents and possible disciplinary action against the student where appropriate. A final and separate consideration which may be relevant in this scenario is to ask whether a Criminal Records Bureau check or equivalent should have been carried out in relation to any of the staff in the work placement organisation. This will depend on the degree of contact and supervision to be exercised as part of the work experience. To summarise, to minimise risk, the college should have in place well-publicised, workable policies and procedures to ensure the safety and security of students in their learning, including their use of information and communications technologies. There needs to be a clearly identified part of the college which has ownership of the policies and procedures, and it is important those documents are used in relation to any incident.
The scenarios show us that best practice for colleges is to get their acceptable use policies up to date to cover the use of online technologies, including Web 2, where appropriate. Colleges have a legal duty to eliminate discrimination, and any relevant incidents should be recorded and reported. This will also be assessed as part of a college inspection or review. There are also, of course, implications for colleges in using external work experience placements. Criminal Records Bureau checks will be required for all adults that have frequent and intensive unsupervised access to children. The Independent Safeguarding Authority's vetting and barring scheme covers England, Northern Ireland and Wales. Scotland will have a similar scheme implemented this year, and Disclosure Scotland is the government body that carries out appropriate checks there. More information is available on these organisations from their websites. Underpinning all of these scenarios is the need to have in place policy and procedures that determine learners' use of ICT, and we'll come back to framing an e-safety policy a little later on.